warships. If you've ever been on a warship, you know. If you haven't, when Fleet Week comes, make sure you get a tour of one, because they're really incredible. By the time I was 30 years old, I'd been to 42 countries. I had had a wonderful experience of my time in the Navy. But by the time I was ready to get out, which was 2009, I knew I wanted to come back here. I was born and raised here in Jupiter. I knew I wanted to raise my family here. So my husband and my 2 children, we all live right now here up in Gardens, and I know there's no better place to live, work, and play than right here in Palm Beach County. I could go on and on about my time in the service, my deployments, my accomplishments, my accolades, my time away from home, but that is not what today is about. Today is not about me. Today is about remembering the people who never made it home to their families. I'm here, my family's in the 3rd crowd right now, in the 3rd row. But I'm not here to talk anymore about me. I'm here to tell you a story. Story of a classmate of mine from the Naval Academy, 2nd Lieutenant James Patrick Blacksmith, or JP as we all call him. 6'4" and 225 pounds, JP looked like he had just stepped out of a J. Crew catalog. I mean, truly. He was handsome, he was intelligent, he was caring, he was who you wanted your daughter to date, I would tell you. And he never had a bad word to say about anyone. He was heavily recruited for football. He could have gone to any football program in the country, but love for his country brought him to the U.S. Naval Academy. He can pretty much do anything except for calculus. So he came to our room every night. He got tutored by one of my roommates. And trust me, when JP came around, no one minded that he was there. Okay, really. Upon graduation, JP chose to be an officer in the U.S. Marine Corps. In April of 2004, he was assigned to the 1st Marine Division and commanded the 3rd Platoon of India Company. The battalion was deployed to Iraq September 10th of 2004. In Operation Phantom Fury, JP's India Company was the first to go into the city of Fallujah to start the house-to-house search operations. Now remember, at this time, Fallujah had pretty much been cleared out, so anyone that was still in the city was thought to be an insurgent. JP and other members of the India Company started clearing the city south. They had their blood types written in permanent marker on the sleeves of their uniforms, should the worst happen. The morning of November 11th, Veterans Day, started out a little shaky. A young Marine in JP's platoon was shot in the mouth. He survived, but he's since needed 40 surgeries to have any sort of quality of life. JP's men were shaken up. The platoon was nervous. They were scared, but not JP. He was calm, he was collected, and he rallied his troops. He gave them a pep talk, and they kept heading southward with their house-to-house clearing. They came to a house, and on the 2nd story of this house, it was a good vantage point to survey the city. So JP and his men climbed to the roof of the house to survey the landscape. Well, at 6'4", JP was big. And an insurgent on a rooftop a couple houses over saw him immediately. He found the one place on JP that was vulnerable, which was a ½ inch above his left protected breastplate. A single 7.62 millimeter bullet entered JP's left breastplate, came to rest on his right hip, slicing diagonally down through his body, tearing a hole through his heart. "I'm hit," JP said. He lifted his head up one time, and he fell to the ground dead. There was a medic with JP's platoon. He was 3 feet away from JP, but by the time he even made those few steps over, JP was already gone. His platoon carried his 225-pound body down those stairs. JP was 24 years old. His funeral took place at the Church of Our Savior in St. Gabriel, California. The church, actually, where General George Patton had been baptized as a baby. As JP's flag-draped casket was led out of the church, a line of 2,000 people followed. The night before JP was killed, he wrote a letter to his girlfriend, which she received after his death. I'm going to read a little bit of that to you. By the time you receive this, you will know we have gone into the city. We've been preparing for it for the last few days. My guys are ready for the fight. I'm ready to lead them. It'll be hectic, and there will be some things out of my control. But the promise of you waiting at home for me is inspiring and a relief. This is the type of man JP was. I reached out to JP's family because I wanted them to know that I was going to speak about him today. And honestly, I wanted to make sure that they were okay with me sharing details of the last moment of his life with complete strangers. I was a little nervous that might bother them. And when I spoke to JP's dad, it was the exact opposite. He was very moved that I was going to speak about JP today. And he was very honored that I was sharing the details of JP's life with you all here today. And I quickly realized that this is what Gold Star families want, and this is what Memorial Day is about. Say their names, tell their stories, remember them so that they are not forgotten and their deaths were not in vain. The men and women who've given their lives in service to this nation are indisputably heroes. In 2005, JP was awarded the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star for his courage and bravery. The irony of it all is that JP didn't have to serve in the military. He came from a wealthy family and he was heavily recruited. He could have gone to any football program in the country, hands down. But he believed in the ideals of duty and sacrifice that most people today cannot comprehend. They just don't understand. This is commendable in a nation where so few of our citizens have put on a uniform and accepted the risk. When their country called, they answered. This alone makes them heroes worthy of remembering. I think it's important to also never forget that no matter what you're in, Army, Navy, Air Force, the profession of arms is a dangerous one. Just ask the families of the 7 sailors on the USS Fitzgerald that were killed sleeping in their berthing when a ship collided with another one, and their berthing flooded in less than 1 minute. Those of us here today understand. To recognize their service and sacrifice, we must ensure they are never forgotten. We must ensure JP and the men and women like him are never forgotten. Of the 1 million+ men and women that have died in military service, the vast majority are everyday heroes. People like you and people like me. They're brothers and sisters who fought alongside us and whose deaths have left gaping holes in families, communities, and hearts across this country. Their friendships, bravery, and commitment to duty must never be lost. I'll leave you now in the words of John F. Kennedy, Navy veteran. As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter the words, but to live by them. Thank you very much for being here.